Cigars, episode 2. Got my Opus Fuente X, second one we got. This is what we had last week as well. Going forward with future episodes, I will make sure to also grab some new quality stuff as well. But I bought a huge box of these, so I gotta get through these. So thank you guys for tuning into episode 2. For those of you who enjoyed episode 1, we're gonna start going live every single Monday night at around 7:30 Eastern, maybe a little bit earlier if I can get to it. So look out for it between 7 and 7:30 Eastern every Monday. Love to have you join me. And today we're going to be talking about a few select things. We got starting a business, mental toughness, and some investments. So let me just light up real quick. Shout out my father-in-law. He got me this beautiful cutter and lighter, and I'm very appreciative. So shout out Brad. Thank you, sir. Okay, we are off to the races. So today we're going to be talking about starting a business, mental toughness, and investments. I'll share with you some investments I've made, some mistakes I've made. Obviously, please feel free to jump in and drop some questions, but oh man, what a day. So just such a smooth cigar. So let's talk about starting a business. So I have been fortunate enough to now have had 3 businesses. I mean, I've started about 16 or 17 businesses, probably something like that, 15, 16, 17 businesses. Last time I went through them all. And I've had 3 of them grow to over $1 million a year that still do over $1 million a year. And like all the businesses that I ended up doing well with, I still run today. So that means I've had 12 businesses that went absolutely nowhere, or 13 businesses, whatever the numbers end up being, but several businesses that went absolutely nowhere. And I lost money, and I've lost a lot of time and energy and effort. So I want to talk about a little bit about, for those of you who are interested in starting a business, I want to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, about starting a business, what to look out for, that kind of thing. So and this is for any kind of business, by the way. We're going to talk about, you know, all the different kinds of, I mean, I started everything. I started business consulting. I started a clothing brand. I started e-commerce, started a marketing agency, variations of the marketing agency, you know, from social media to websites to all the different things. I got into the insurance business. What else? I mean, so many different random businesses that I started. Obviously the brokerage business, you know, the investment business and the consulting business, which are 3 businesses I still run today, that all do over $1 million a year. But, you know, I think that a lot of people don't realize that, you know, number one, how hard starting a business is, how hard, like, because it's easy to start one. I mean, everyone in the world can start one, but it's how many people actually see any level of success to continue going. That's the big thing, right? And to go through the toughness that is building a business, to actually get somewhere that it actually has become worth it to have started the business in the first place. So a couple things when starting a business. One, if I could tell myself one thing about a business or about starting businesses when I, you know, to the very beginning, my earlier self, I would tell myself, don't start a business unless you plan on being in it for like 10 or 20 years. To me today, it's 20 years. Like if I'm not going to start something unless I plan on being in that thing and doing that thing and feel comfortable doing that thing for multiple decades. Because it will take multiple decades for it to become something massive, especially most of the businesses that I'm starting, right? Like, I'm doing service-based businesses, slow stuff, right? If you're starting an AI company, you could go from 0 to a crazy number very quickly. But like most of the businesses today that most people start are not going to do that, right? So if you plan on starting a business, I think one of the bigger things is realizing that it's going to take a lot longer to see large levels of success. Even your first million, not only, you could even say million in revenue. I was going to say million in take home, like net profit. It just will take some time, right? Like people don't realize that, especially if you're going to sell, like low ticket stuff. It's going to take some time. And I think that not enough people realize the amount of time it'll take and the discipline you're going to have and the consistency you need to have for long enough. It's like you have to do the right activities for long enough in order to see a result. I mean, for me, by the way, see, I'm going to, this is how long the ash is, and because I'm doing a podcast, I'm going to tap it out real quick. But some of the people have made comments saying that I should let it ash itself. But I don't want it to drop on my feet in the middle of this podcast. So, but it's like, for me, it took me, my first business, which I actually worked for, I was a busboy to start. Okay. That was my first job. I was a busboy. And then I went into a place called Pump It Up. It's a kid's birthday party place. And I ended up working within a 2-year-ish span. I went from a low-level employee starting position, to managing 2 locations, one completely on my own. And, general manager managing 60, 70, 80 employees. And within 2 years. And then I was only making like 40 grand a year, 45 grand a year, working endless hours, 100-hour work weeks. We're showing up early, staying late, the whole 9. Happy New Year, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. And anyways, it became this thing where, I realized early on in my life, before the age of 20, that I was like, I need to get to the ownership side of the business, not the management side of the business, because there's a huge delta between what I was making and what the owner was making. And I was like, I need to get on the other side of the table. So I found that out early. But, there's a lot of risk involved, obviously, when you're the owner, when you're the number one person, which, by the way, there's just some people out there who just should not be a number one. I mean, there's, very few people should actually be a number one. A lot of people should be a number 2 through 100, and you'll do much better than being a number one guy. The number one guy, I didn't realize this, but you take all the risk. When you have payroll, you're paid last. When you have, in every aspect, you're paid last. You eat last. It's like, and it's all your own risk, because if you don't make any money, you don't eat. Where like if you have an employee, you can fire them, but like legally you're like claiming that you're going to pay them in the future, and if you don't, you're going to get sued. So like, if you claim, like for me, it's like there's nobody to sue if I don't get paid this week or this month, right? Or this year. Like if I don't make money, it's all on my own volition. So what's funny is like I'm 31 years old. Okay, I just turned 31 in October, and so I turned 31 in October. And I have not earned a paycheck, a check from somebody else paying me like an employer, okay, in over a decade. It's been over a decade now, because it was before I was 20. So 11 years I've been earning my own checks. And it's pretty incredible to think about, where like, not a lot of 31-year-olds can say that. I've been earning my own money for 11 years. I've been earning my own money. Every year I look in the mirror, I'm like, that's my boss, right? The person in the mirror is my boss, me. Like I am my own boss. And it comes with pros and cons. Like, yeah, it's like my first business, I got in the residential business, the residential brokerage business, and it took me about 4 years to do $1 million. I got in at 20, and then at my, towards the middle of my third year, roughly, I made over $1 million, and in a 12-month span. And it's crazy because what it took though was that it took me going ghost. It took me, literally separate. It was like a separation season, and I think everybody needs to do that. I think separation season is actually a really good thing. And I'm gonna relax a little bit here. So, I think a lot of people need to make the decision where it is separation season, right? A lot of you need to be in separation season, which means you're separating yourself not only from your current friends, maybe your family, maybe the people who doubt you, your colleagues, whatever it is. Maybe it's even the old version of you that you have to separate yourself from, but it is separation season. And a lot of people don't understand the dynamic here, where if you want to do something, if you want a different result, you might need to be different and do things differently. And not enough people are willing to make the sacrifice. They're not willing to do the work for long enough to see the result. I remember I went to the office, okay? It wasn't that I worked, quote unquote. It was that, I want to even just tell you, I got to the office to start working at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I left at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night, 6 days a week for almost 4 years. And that's what helped me go from $0 to $1 million a year, or $0 to over $100,000 a month in 36 months. And there's just so many people who are just like, I will never do that. And I'm like, guess what? Then you're just not going to have the result, which is okay, which is why you shouldn't start a business. You shouldn't be a number one, right? You should be a salesperson for somebody like me. You should, if you don't have the fire in your belly to go after it every single day, where I've been working since 7 o'clock this morning, if you don't have that fire, okay, then go work for somebody who has the fire. Because if it's not you, then who, right? It's got to be somebody in the business. It can't be nobody, right? I invest in recreational land. I've learned a lot from you and Cole about cold calling, negotiating, dispo. Appreciate you following the journey, man. Thank you. Best of luck with everything, and congrats on your success you're having. He says, I've got an office space in Missouri looking for $700K. I told him I would get him tenants in the place, $1,000 per unit. That could work. Could you help me on this deal? I don't know if I'm gonna be able to help you, but I can give you a little bit of guidance. So you got an office space, and he's looking for $700,000. You told him that if we could get tenants in place at $1,000 per unit, that could possibly work. Yeah, I mean, send me an email at info@henryeisenstein.com so I can understand more of the dynamics about the deal. But, overall, I'm not a fan of office. I think office is a very tough space right now, especially in a lot of the, secondary and tertiary markets. Primary markets can be very good still, but secondary, tertiary office markets, very tough. So anyways, sometimes, most people here, you're just not willing to do the work. You're not willing to, make the sacrifices necessary to see the success you want. I have so many people who hit me up and they're like, oh yeah, I want to make a lot more money. I was even talking to somebody today, and they make $300,000 a year, but they're like, Henry, I'm acting like I'm comfortable. I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of people. Some of the hardest aspects of business is, once you start making a little bit of money, is staying disciplined enough to continue working harder and smarter and implementing new processes and bringing on more team members so that you can break past the level of comfortability, because comfortability happens very quickly. I'll give you an example. Let me give you an example. If you get to survival, right? Because survival is the first level of earning money. And once you get past survival, which is sort of all your bills are paid, right? Everyone, the first level of earning money is just getting to the point where you don't have to stress about paying bills, okay? Where, you know, like if your bills are $3 grand a month, $5 grand a month, $8 grand a month, whatever it is, $10 grand a month. And like getting past survival is always step one. Like getting to a point where you're like, I'm good finally. Like I can pay my bills and I'm not stressing over this month's rent, right? Like you know, I think the saying was, you have more month at the end of the money instead of more money at the end of the month. And I think that, you know, once you can get past that point, you can feel a lot more comfortable inside, right? And I think that most people, you know, don't realize that getting to that aspect, by the way, is not the hard part, okay? You know, it's step one, but that's not really the hard part. Getting to your first 100 grand isn't that difficult, even though like saving your first 100,000 is difficult, okay? Saving your first 100 grand is difficult, okay? Because that means not only after all your bills are paid, you're still disciplined enough to not, because when you start making more money, your bill, a lot of people start increasing their bills. I did that at the very beginning. I was really good with my money when I worked for somebody else because I knew my paycheck was X and I could only spend X, and I saved like 30,000 bucks by the time I was like, you know, 18, 19 years old. And then when I started my own business, I just lost everything. My first year in business, I lost everything. I went from $30,000 in no debt to $30,000 in debt and no cash. That was my first year because I didn't understand those dynamics. I never understood how to work or to live with that kind of money dynamic. And it took me a long time to realize how to work with that dynamic. And it actually was a huge issue. It was a huge issue for me. Like, you know, I got into a lot of credit card debt at the very beginning because I didn't know how to manage my money when I had no income coming in. And I was in a business that required money to be shoved out so often. And I didn't understand that dynamic, and it royally screwed me for a period of time. And it forced me, I had my back against the wall, and you know, I went from $70,000 in credit card debt to, you know, $100,000 months within 36 months because I was like, this is it. Like this, I only have one option really. So my back was against the wall, and I did everything that I possibly could to make it work. And like, you know, because realistically, the first 100 grand is really just understanding that if you just spend a lot of time in the activities that make you money, typically in the sales / marketing roles, right? Like if you get a lot of customers coming in and you have a lot of at-bats, you'll typically sell people, okay? Like that's step one. It's just getting to the point where you have enough at-bats to make money. And I was really good at that because I knew, by the way, like I don't think I'm the best salesperson around, but I made enough calls that I gave myself so many opportunities where I could screw up 80 to 90% of them and still make good money. And that's even what happened at the very beginning. And then I just got decent at it, and then I got good at it. And again, I don't think I'm great, but I think that being good with 1,000 at-bats a year is all you need to be, right? Like, you know, you don't need to be incredible to make good money in sales if you give yourself enough at-bats. Edgar says, I just attained my license 2 days ago. Congrats, man. No brokerage yet. Coming in as part-time agent. What's your best advice? Thanks in advance. Email me, info@henryeisenstein.com. I can give you a little bit more direct advice, but anyone who's in your position, I would recommend joining a team and shadowing somebody either in your local market or somebody like myself who can give you the right tools and systems and processes when you start. I typically don't like bringing on brand new agents just because I like to go, I want you to go experience the business with somebody else, typically, like just giving you my 2 cents. But I think it's smart for you to join a team. I don't personally look for brand new agents because I want you to go call it, I don't want to say fail, but I want you to go on your own and experience the business through a certain lens. And then I want to be like the second or third team you come to, because people who come to me make a lot of money. But the problem is that some of them they join me, they make a lot of money, and then they think they can go do it on their own, and it's not the systems and processes and all these things that I built. So I found that it's really good for people who are brand new to the industry. If you're brand new in real estate, go work for somebody in your local market who's successful. Anybody in the world, by the way, will hire you. Most of the people will hire you. I won't hire brand new agents, but most people will hire brand new agents right out the gate. I don't like doing it. I used to do it a lot, and it was a mistake I made. Like, I want to hire big producers and scale up teams. Like that's my skill set, right? Like where I partner with somebody who's making already 100, 200, 300 grand a year, who wants to go on and make their first 7 figures or more. I partner with them and we end up scaling their business. That's my niche specifically. So yeah, go find somebody in your local market who is successful. Go work for them. Don't worry about your splits, but just go work for somebody who's successful and shadow the crap out of them, and you'll crush it. Nonetheless, I think that like for most people who are starting a business, big thing I would say is don't start a business unless you plan on being it for at least a decade. Like if you're going to be in something for at least 10, you have the mindset, you're like, I'm going to do this for 10 years. That's a great mindset to have. If you can do 20 years or 30 years and be like, I'm going to do this until it works. I think those people have a lot higher success rates than the people who are just like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to try this. I'm going to give this a shot and see how it goes. When you have that kind of mentality, you typically won't see success. So that's number one. Number two is I would really get to understand your skill sets. Like what skill sets do you have? Like what are skill sets do you have that you feel like others don't? Like I am really good. One of my skill sets, which might sound stupid, but I'm really good at doing the boring work and being okay being bored, right? Like in the sense of like, I don't feel like I'm ever bored, but I'm okay doing the boring work, right? I'm okay with doing the boring work for long enough because I just know that like if I do the boring work for a very long period of time, I will see a success level that I can only imagine, right? Like I know that if I just continue to do all the same activities, because my business is very simplistic. From my perspective, the brokerage world is, for me, at somebody at my level where I'm looking to, for producing, like I'm a producer as well. So I make my calls to find great off-market opportunities because I'm also an investor. So I want to produce and find good sellers. I want to continue to build my buyers list of people who are interested in buying property. I want to develop my talent on my team. Okay, so like I want to train them and be with them and hold their hand and help them develop and develop them into great talent. Like I try to take good talent and make them great. And then I also have to be in the attraction of talent business where like I spend my time, trying to find and connect with other good agents all around the country who want to become great, and I want to partner with them. So like it's a talent attraction and talent development, as well as personal seller lead generation and offer generation on my own deal. So by doing all that, while working on myself and enhancing the processes and systems that we have in our brokerage business, I know I'll do well. And if I just do those activities for the next 20, 30, 40 years, I'll have a team of a couple thousand people. I'll have 50 to 150 leaders who are all, that I partner with them and help them scale out their teams. And, I know the team, I'll have a lot of people who make over $1 million a year. I'll have then, I'll have over 100 people who make over $1 million a year. And then I'll have 1,000 people who make over $100,000 a year. And I'll probably quietly make 10 to 20 or 30 or 40 or $50 million a year in the background, right? Like, because I've helped so many people. Because like the relationship with money is how can I create value for so many people, right? Because if I help 1,000 people make 100 grand, I'll probably make $10 million, right? If I help 100 people make $1 million, I'll probably make $100 million, right? So it's like the economies of scale. So like as you provide more and more value to the marketplace, you will make more and more money, right? Where I have not done that yet. I have not helped 1,000 people make over $100,000 in my organization. I've done that through consulting, right? But like it's different when they are in the organization, because when they're in the organization and I can help them consistently grow. Like imagine if you have 100 people who are working for you. If you have 100 people right now who are working for you, who make $1 million a year each, okay? That probably means you're making $10 to $100 million, okay? If you have 1,000 people working for you who are each making over $100,000, again, that means that you're probably making between $10 and $100 million. So you have to think about it from the perspective of like, how do I attract the talent and develop the talent enough so that this many people can have that kind of level of success? Because that's how you make big, like huge money. That's how you make a lot of money, right? Let's go through some of these questions here. By the way, the Cigars podcast, the CRE and Cigars podcast will come to you live every single Monday at around 7:30 Eastern. So make sure you guys tune in every single week. I appreciate that. By the way, in the description down below, you can grab your virtual tickets for free, okay, for our next virtual event, okay, which is going to be how to 10x your leads. So make sure you guys join us on January 27th. Awesome event. It's virtual. It's free. Make sure you join in. It's in the description down below. You can register for free. Also, if you want to grab your tickets to Expansion, my first ever live event, there's limited tickets, 100 total. We're up to 30. I think we're like 28, 29, 30 tickets or so. So we're selling tickets regularly. So we only got about 70 tickets left. So make sure you register and grab your ticket today. Executive tickets are $14.97 and VIP right now is $49.97. So if you want to come in, meet me in person, hang out with me, smoke a cigar with me. You want to hang out for the weekend, March 14th and 15th. And if you're a VIP, it'll be 13th, 14th, and 15th of March, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you want to join me, grab your ticket down below. And if you have questions, you can email me at info@henryeisenstein.com. Okay? So let's dive into some questions here. Okay. Well, we have to relight while we answer some questions. I agree with concentrating on seasoned agents. We've been focusing on that as well. That being said, my top 3 agents came to me brand new. Yeah, I mean, my top 3 agents right now actually came to me brand new as well. But I've recruited like 60 plus agents, maybe 100 plus agents, and I only have, like from the people who've joined me, because what happens if you have a brand new agent who joins you, the odds of them leaving or falling out of the business, I've had like 90% of people fall out of the business because they can't sustain not making money for the first 90 days or 60 days. Or 6 months, 90 days to 6 months. Most people don't have that kind of ability to hang in there. You shot me an email. Awesome. I'll check that out later today or tomorrow. Appreciate that. What's up? Travel Hall. My dog is back. Yes, sir. Every single Monday, 7:30 Eastern. Join in. CRE and Cigars. We're going to talk about commercial real estate. We'll talk about business, sales, entrepreneurship, business, mindset, the whole nine. But tune in every Monday. What's your commercial forecast for 2026? I'm bullish, man. I am freaking bullish. I think we're going to have a great year this year. I'm excited to be in the industry and to be as positioned as we are with the partners that I have. I am freaking bullish with the cash reserves that I have. I am freaking bullish this year. I'm excited. I think we're gonna do great this year. Hey Henry, I was cold calling on Saturday. I found an $11 million mobile home park seller lead. His ask isn't unreasonable. I have net income details. My question to you is, I'm primarily a residential agent. I have connections in the commercial real estate business. I would really like to know how I should proceed. Is this something you want to look at? Yes, absolutely. Email me, info@henryeisenstein.com. I'll take a look at it and I'll help you do the deal. We'll do the deal together. Would love to be able to do some business with you, man. Currently also driving, so pardon the grammar. Totally okay. Appreciate you tuning in while you're driving. Be safe. But yeah, you can always, if anyone here has deals that they want to do deals with me, we do everything 50-50. I'll hold your hand. We'll walk through the deal. And I'll let you know, by the way, when you send me a deal, if it's even worth me spending time working with you on the deal, okay? So you won't waste your time with crap, okay? I'll tell you right away, is this something to spend your time on? So email me, info@henryeisenstein.com. Will there be an expansion meet? Yeah, so it's a live event. So we're all going to be it's a live event in person here in Miami at a local hotel in Coral Gables. I live in Coral Gables, so it'll be in Coral Gables, Miami. So if you're interested in joining us, down in the description down below, grab your tickets right now. Limited tickets available. Also currently driving, so no problem. Okay. What's the next commercial real estate meetup I'm hosting? It will be in Miami. Next meetup we're hosting, I'll probably do one in like 3 weeks or so in Miami. And then I'll probably host a New Jersey meetup in February. So either one you can join in, because I go back and forth between Miami and Jersey all the time. So I'll make sure you get the details. Okay. but you have to provide a lead opportunity to make it work. I think I may have missed part of that, but I'm sure. Yes, you tell them 4 months of living wages. Yeah. Yeah, but think about it. Like when you start, so I think I understand the question. So like when you're just getting started in the commercial real estate business, I recommend that you have a job. So if you don't have 12 to 24 months worth of income, I would highly recommend that you have a part-time job. You should work 5 to midnight every day you can to make sure that you're not losing money. So I would say make as much money as you can so that your bills are even. So if your bills are $5,000 a month, make $5,000 a month working nights, and then every other hour that you work, every other hour that you're awake, you should be working on the real estate business so that you can quit the job eventually. Because a lot of my best producers, guys who are making 200 plus, 300 plus thousand a year in GCI, they work a night job. And then, once they hit a certain amount of cash in the bank, I tell them, once you have 12 to 24 months worth of income, then you can, quit the job. But that's the right way to do it. Four months of living wages is sometimes too tight. Sorry, Henry, I know it's personal. I'm out of line. You're not out of line. I don't even know what you mean. Oh, okay, got it. I didn't see that. Sorry. I tried that cigar. I like it with Johnny Walker Blue. Nice. I'm not a big drinker. I smoke cigars, but I'm not a big drinker. Who do you have going to the Super Bowl? I am actually not a sports guy. You would be shocked. I have absolutely no freaking idea, but I can tell you this because my mom and her boyfriend are here, and her boyfriend is into sports, so we watched the Broncos game. So I believe it's probably going to be a Broncos-Patriots Super Bowl. At least that's what it's looking like right now. But I don't really know anything about sports, to be honest with you. Will you put that email on the screen? info@henryeisenstein.com. info@henryeisenstein.com. Really easy. Just info at my full name, henryeisenstein.com. Okay. Yep, I watch your content. It's around a 6.5 to 7 cap. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's check it out. I don't know. I mean, what market it's in? If it's in New Jersey, I might buy it myself. But other markets, I'll have to do a lot more research. But I can sell anything all over the country. Yeah, residential, you can probably have 4 to 6 months worth of income. That makes sense. I saw your tutorial on prospecting commercial properties with Reonomy. Is there a chance I can make a similar video, or that I can make a similar video, but with CoStar? I could try to do that. I'll put some time in when I have a moment. I know I've got a request for that for a long time. I can do that. It's in Washington State, but just outside of Seattle. Okay, yeah, I'll take a look at it. Could be interesting. Love to take a look at a mobile home park. Yeah, so let's get on to mental toughness, because I think this also has to do with mindset. Like, listen, guys, if you don't know my story, but I'll quickly let you know, a reminder, if you don't know my story, I was suicidal and depressed and for a long period of time. I actually attempted on my life 3 times before the age of 13. And I can say that now because, I've spoken on depression, and I've spoken on mental health for a long time, and for a lot of different organizations all across the country. And it is near and dear to my heart. And I just want to help as many people as I possibly can. A good friend of mine actually committed suicide. I can't believe it's been a little over 3 years now. It's crazy. Rest in peace, my friend. It's one of those things where a lot of people experience it. A lot of people actually experience mental health challenges more than a lot of people realize. So mental toughness, it's one of those things where I think that a lot of people are ill prepared. In the sense where, I don't think enough people realize, in the world of being an entrepreneur, in the world of being a salesperson, even the world of being an investor, there are going to be ups and downs. There are going to be moments where you're terrified and moments where you're the most excited and happy and joyful you've ever been. You're going to go through the ups and downs and the swings emotionally all the time. And I think that not enough people are prepared for the swings, right? And I think you just, it's a tough thing, man. Mental toughness is one of those things where if you can practice it, it is one of the greatest skills and the greatest things you can ever do for yourself. And one of those things that if you can instill it into your loved ones, it is a beautiful thing. Because, this business has chewed me up and spit me out a couple times, right? Like I went broke twice in this business, and it freaking is devastating. It is devastating. Like COVID, I was broke. I went broke in COVID. I didn't know what to do. I mean, obviously that ended up being one of the greatest, that ended up being the best year of my career at that time. After COVID kind of opened up a little bit, right? Because I just wasn't prepared financially like I feel like I am today. And I feel like those types of things you can't plan for. And I wasn't prepared for it. I'll be honest with you guys, like I was not prepared for what COVID did. I was not prepared to go 5 months with no income, or 4 months with no income. And it was horrible. It was horrible. And I think that mental toughness is one of those things where you can just dust yourself off, which is easier said than done, by the way, okay? It took me 3 weeks or 2 to 3 weeks of crying myself to sleep to finally go, okay, I'm done pitying myself, or whatever, having my pity party. I need to pick myself up again and get back to work. Because I didn't know what to do. I was like, COVID went from $100 grand a month to zero, and I still had my bills for very heavy bills. I had very high expenses in relativity to my income at that time in my life. And it was a problem. It was a very big problem, and I was not prepared. But it taught me a lot of valuable lessons. You'll send it me tomorrow. Great. Okay, awesome. I'm having trouble finding a buyer in a parcel in a mall in Modesto, California. Let's work together perhaps and find a buyer for it. I'll send you the info via email. Okay, awesome. Rest in peace to your friend. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. His name was Andrew, and we grew up together, and he committed suicide 3 years ago, about a month and a half after my engagement party that he came to, and I have some amazing photos from there. We actually used one of the photos from my engagement party as his, the poster at his funeral. And we were supposed to go to another one of our close friends, mutual friends and everybody. His bachelor party was like 2 weeks after he passed. It was a crazy experience, but thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. And I think that, he was someone that you would have no idea. I mean, this guy was a successful guy, and he worked for consulting, one of the big 4 consulting firms. And then he worked for Johnson & Johnson, and he just worked himself like crazy. And he just, started to develop some mental challenges, and then he got really heavily on pills, like anti-depression pills, and he just couldn't take it. And I wish I knew. Because I would have stayed. He was one of my closest friends, and I would have literally lived at his apartment. I would have moved him into my house. You know what I mean? Like I would have moved him into my place and just lived with him every day and hung out with him. I wouldn't have cared about the money. It was just like, it was that kind of person, and he was a blessing of a human being. And it's one of those things where like I want to do everything in my power to support people, because he was such a beautiful human being, and I never want to see somebody go through what he went through. And so if I can do anything to support people, that's what I'm here for, right? It's the brain, the being, in your head. When you're in your head, you're dead. It's like, it's a scary place to be, being in your head. So yeah, it's one of those things, guys, where like mental toughness is really, you have to practice it. You have to, you can't ever think that you're good. You always have to be practicing mental toughness and realizing like life's going to throw you crazy curveballs, and you need to be prepared, This is like the 4th time this went out. It's because I'm talking too much, you know how it works. Yep. So, rookie question, I know, but how long do you think it takes to start making sales in the residential real estate? For example, if you start cold calling expires for sale by owners, for rent by owners, circle price between 2 to 3 hours a day. If you start doing 3 hours a day, set up, have your mental goal of setting 1 appointment minimum per day. You can close your first sale within 6 months. I mean, I'm being conservative. I'm just being honest. I think it'll be 6 months, but you could definitely see success fast. Because if you think about it, you set up an expired call. Most of the reasons why they expired is there's a big reason. Most of the time it's overpriced, and you have to get them down in price. And by the time you go on the appointment, you get the listing. You do all the prep work. You put it on the market. You do the things, and it still takes a couple weeks for maybe a month or 2 or 3 to even get an accepted offer, and then you get you negotiate a little bit, then you go through the contract period, and then hopefully you close the deal within your first 6 months. What will the Miami meetup be about? We just we meet up at a cigar lounge in Miami Beach, and we hang out, smoke cigars, and shoot the shit. That's what we do. So if you're interested in joining us at the Miami meetup, we'll probably do it at the end of January. So if you're in the Miami area, I'd love to hang out with you. Probably going to be last week of January. We'll do a meetup on a Tuesday night. So whatever that is. I think it's January 27th. So if you're interested in joining us January 27th for a Miami meetup, we'll probably meet up at like 7 o'clock at night. We'll hang out. I feel like commercial real estate attracts people with a certain level of mental fortitude, and it takes a lot of grit and foresight to stick with it, but I'm certain it'll pay off, and I'll be a blessing to myself and others. Amen. I think the commercial real estate industry is one of the greatest industries in the world. But it definitely takes a lot of mental toughness. It takes a lot of consistency, and it takes a lot of grit and fortitude for sure. It's if you're interested in enhancing your mental toughness, I think one of the big things that you have to do is, first off, you should be working out every day. I think it's an easy way for you to build mental toughness, because if you're not working out right now, I think it's a good way to start building that muscle. Number 2, I think that what you should practice doing is this. It's something I call it the snapback. Okay, the snapback to me is how fast can you go from a low, like something occurring, to snapping back into your equilibrium, right? Because you'll have a low. Like, you can't control the fact that you might have a low, but it's how fast can you snap back to equilibrium? Because the problem is that most people have a low point, and then it affects them for a week, a month, a quarter, or a year, and then it destroys their, sometimes it destroys their life. Some people are, how many people do you know are like, oh man, 20 years ago I had a business and blah, 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 and then this happened, and 2008 financial crisis happened and whatever, or the 2001 dot-com boom, or I could have invested in Apple and been a millionaire, but I sold too soon and blah, 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 blah. Happens to a lot of people, and then they just remember that low, but they never got back on the horse. It's like, how fast can you go from the low to back to equilibrium is the main important thing. Because if you can practice that and go back to, go from a low to equilibrium same day, that's freaking powerful. Do you ever recommend that doing residential real estate to smooth out consistent earnings when starting out commercial real estate? Yeah, you can if you want, for sure. I did that. I was doing residential sales at the same time. But I was already a $1 million earner in the residential world, and then I converted into the commercial real estate side. I went from a residential agent to strictly commercial now, but my residential team, if you look up alignteam.com, shout out, we did 640 million in 2025, like 1,200 transactions. 640 or so million dollars in deals on the residential side, over 1,000 transactions. It's like, the residential business, we've been crushing, and then the commercial side, I've been doing the last few years, but it's kind of different because I don't run everything within the organization. I run it through team leaders all over the country. So a little bit different of a situation, but we did several $100 million this year as well on the commercial side. And then do you wholesale these properties? If so, how do you keep bringing in buyers when the seller thinks you are buying the property? Thank you. So I don't do a lot of residential wholesaling anymore. I'm just done with it. I mean, every now and again, if the right deal comes along, sure, I'll do it, but it's not my forte. It's not my focus. Take a drink of water now. Hold on. So what you do is that, I try to set up one tour with as many people as I can. And I try to say, like, listen, we have a lot of partners we work with to try to see, I'd like to bring, as many of my partners as I can through this property, so we can try to get this deal done as fast as humanly possible for you. Just because, like, we have a lot of investors who like to buy deals with us. So what we like to try to do is we try to have a lot of our investors who partner with us on deals come through the property and see who's interested in, investing with us on these deals. But, we do dozens of deals a year. So this is just part of our process. So, when do you have some time to have some of our investors come through the property? It's a really easy way to do it. 23 years old, just started working at Marcus Millichap in commercial real estate. I do not have much capital. Jesus Christ, what's going on here? Okay. I don't have much capital. I'm looking to use my money from my commissions to invest in real estate. I invest in stocks, but any advice on other investments? Yeah, so let's talk about investments. I think this is an interesting thing. So, okay, let's talk about investments. If you're in the real estate business, until you have $100,000 saved, stop thinking about investing in real estate. Just don't even think about it. Because it's just, how do you sell more real estate to stack cash? That's what it's about. Stack cash for the first, what is that? First few years. It could be first few years of your business. Stack cash. Stop thinking you have to invest in those deals, right away. Like, you just don't need to. Now, look, if you're going to make a commission that's like $200,000, let's say you're going to make $200K and your bills are $5,000 a month. Take $60K and take the $140 and put it in a deal. You know what I mean? It's fine, but like, take the commission and then invest in something, right? Like, make your commission, stack cash, then invest in something. Everyone tries to, like, invest $2,000. $2,000? What are you gonna do? Fine, put it into ETF or something. The SPY or the VOO or some BS. But you're not going to be, put $100 a month or $250 a month, whatever you can afford, into an ETF, and then take the rest of the stack cash that you have and invest it in freaking real estate. Real estate is where to go. If you're going to sell real estate, buy real estate. But if you're brand new, dude, you're 23, you have the whole world ahead of you. Okay? There's no rush. You don't have to rush. I think I bought my first ever deal alone by myself at 26 years old. Okay? Maybe I was 25. I think I was 25. I bought a single family. I think that was when I was 25, and then when I was 26, I bought my 4-family. Yeah, my first 4-family. So, you don't worry about buying real estate so much. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, buy real estate, stack cash, and then buy real estate. Okay? Stack 50 grand, then buy a deal. Like, if your bills are $5,000 a month, stack 30K, and then every time you stack 25 to 50K on top of that, so once you get to 55K or 80K, take 25 grand or 50 grand and put it into a deal. Be an LP, and then buy a deal. Invest into a deal. What's your thought on the market in the Midwest? I hear that there's a big migration from the Sun Belt states to more affordable housing, specifically the Midwest. Yeah, I agree. The thing is that you have to buy in like primary MSAs in the Midwest. If you buy in the Midwest, buy and invest in and try to become the deal finder of that area. Choose a market and become the freaking go-to person for that market, right? I think the Midwest can be good, but you want to find like the primary MSAs in the Midwest. A lot of opportunity in the Midwest. Just a quick reminder for everybody here again. CRE and Cigars, this podcast will be live every single Monday at around 7:30 Eastern, so make sure you guys tune in. It's going to be live like this every single Monday, 7:30 Eastern. I might be a little early, give or take, but we'll probably be around 7:30 every Monday. Tune in. The video on negotiating and protecting your commission challenge I'm having is how do you ensure you're exercising proper fiduciaries with the buyer if you're adding a fee. Remember, your job is to get a good deal for them, okay? That's it. It does not mean that you need to give them the best deal in the entire world. It means that you make $0, okay? And also, the buyer is not paying my fee. The seller technically is paying my fee. So being a fiduciary to a buyer is to making sure they get a deal that they feel like is lucrative enough, right? Like if you're being a fiduciary to a buyer, think about what that is. Like you are supposed to represent them to ensure that they're getting what they believe that they're getting, right? That's all that you're trying to do. You're trying to make sure that they get what they are signing for. So if they're getting a deal that of X return or X detail or X whatever is being promoted or being marketed out there, your job is to make sure that they're getting what they pay for, okay? That's your only responsibility as a fiduciary, right? You have their best, you have their quote best interest at heart, right? Like I'm trying to make sure that my buyers find good deals, right? So in order to do that, it does not mean that I make no money, right? Because the way that it works is if the seller wants $5 million and I pitch the deal out at $5.5 million and I know my buyer is willing to pay $5.5 million, then guess what? Then he's getting we believe that the property will be worth $7 million. Then you just made this guy $1 million, right? As an example. How, you're doing a fine job, even if you made 6% commission or $500,000 in a wholesale fee, you're still doing, quote, your job, right? Like you're getting them, a good deal. So that's why, I try to find them good enough deals where I think that they're going to like the deal, right? If you know the seller is willing to accept less, adding a fee is misrepresenting at least. That's why I'm reading it. It's not misrepresenting at all. That's a complete illogical way to think about it. Because I want you to think about it. Coca-Cola, okay? Coca-Cola sells a can of Coca-Cola, okay? They sell it for less, okay? They sell it for less to the store than you are paying, right? Because you're the consumer. So is the store misrepresenting the fact that they're making a profit? No, there's no misrepresentation whatsoever. In every single aspect of business, there's a margin between the cost of a good and what the good is sold for, so there is a profit made because business is made because there's a delta called profit. You need profit to continue the business. Is Microsoft, doing ill, or Apple doing ill work to the consumer because I'm doing this on an iPhone? Is that ill work? No. And for fiduciary as an example, you're not misrepresenting the fact that this deal is at X price. You need to include your compensation, right? I think that it's actually screwed up if you go like, hey, seller, so think about it like this. Seller wants to make $5 million. Seller's going to pay you 0 commission. Should you just give it to the buyer at $5 million? That doesn't make any sense. How would you do your work? You can't make any money. What if the seller's willing to pay you $0 commission? That's not how business is done. Business is done, you're thinking about fiduciary in the wrong mentality. It has nothing to do with, you selling a property at the cheapest price. That's not what fiduciary means. Okay, you want to get them a good deal, the best deal you can, while everybody is happy. Because if think about it from a perspective of a residential transaction. If I come in, I want to buy a house. You're representing me. I want to buy a house. I see a house for $2 million that I want to buy. And it's listed for $2 million. I want to offer $1.6 million. Okay? The seller says, absolutely not. I won't do the deal. No problem. It's either $2 million or nothing. Okay, fine. And if I'm willing to pay the $2 million, I can proceed. But it's not on you to make sure that I, quote, get, quote, to the cheapest price. I need you to do the best I can to whatever I want to have happen, I need you to be on my side. So if I want to offer 1.6, you offer 1.6. If I'm willing to pay the $2 million, you present my $2 million offer. Your intention, your fiduciary relationship to me as your buyer is to make sure I get the deal, right? Now the buyer can decide if they want what they want to pay, but so it doesn't mean that they have to accept paying $2 million in this case, or $5 million, $5.5 million, which would include compensation, it's up to the buyer. The buyer can agree to doing it or not, right? It's on the buyer, you know. But if I'm willing to pay the price, I think you're doing a good job as a fiduciary. Henry, been watching you for a while, motivated me to in the real estate world. Appreciate you, man, following that journey. I appreciate you following me, man. Thank you so much. I'll have a cigar ready for next week. Awesome. Let's do it, man. By the way, so real quick, if you want to join, if you want to know how to 10x your leads, generate more leads than you've ever generated before in your entire business, you want to join me for my free virtual workshop, 10x your leads, down in the description down below. Make sure you pre-register. Everyone who pre-registers is going to get access to a private Zoom room while we do the workshop. So make sure you tune in, you register down in the description down below, 10x your leads. Make sure you register right away. I'm excited to join you guys, or join me on January 27th. It's Tuesday, January 27th for the free workshop, 10x your leads. Generate more leads than you've ever generated in your entire life. Dominate in your industry. We're going to do it on the 27th. And also, if you want to join me for my first ever live commercial real estate event, Expansion 2026, it's March 14th, 15th, 16th of March. Make sure you tune me, March 14th, 15th, 16th. Description down below will have a link to buy your tickets today. Love to see you there. Let's see what else we got here. Trent Ellingford. I've never heard of him, but I will look him up. Appreciate you, man. I'll look him up. And we died again. You know, it's so crazy, guys. You know, it's like, I think about this, you know, like all the time of like when I first started, my first 12 months in the business, okay? My first 12 months, what the hell happened here? My first 12 months, actually, hold on, I'm gonna grab a pillow real fast. A second pillow so I can be more comfortable and I can lean back. There we go. My first 12 months in the business, okay? I'll even say it this way. My first 10 months in the business, it took me 10 months to earn my first commission check. 10 months to earn my first commission check. 10 months, okay? And my first commission check was $900. And I bought a stupid Hermes belt, okay? My mentor is like, go buy yourself something nice. That's what she said to me. My first ever mentor told me to go buy and blow the whole 900, and I bought an Hermes belt. Idiot. I mean, it's also, $1,000 is not going to do anything. So like, if you had $1,000 in the bank or $0 in the bank, it's not going to mean anything. Or like, it's just like, it's the same thing. But stupid. But I mean, it's just so crazy, guys, because it's like this month we'll do 200,000 in profit this month, 225, 250 in profit, 200, 250 in profit. You know, on a $400,000, $400 to $500,000 in fees and other things from the businesses. It's like, guys, it's like, it's freaking nuts. You know, like I mean, I remember my second year in the business, I made $137,000. And to think that I do that every, you know, sometimes every, you know, in a week, like it's just, I can't even express to you guys the immense gratitude I have for life. You know, it's just, it's so crazy because it's like, I knew I would eventually be here, and I know one day I'm going to be making $1 million a week or $1 million a day. Like, I know that in maybe 20, 30, 40 years from now, I know I'll probably get there. Because, like, I'm the kind of person where I'm like, if you've made $100,000 in a year, you can make $100,000 in a quarter. I remember the first time I made $100,000 in a quarter in 90 days. And I'm looking at my QuickBooks and I went, wow, I made 100, it was like 101 or 103 or 107,000 bucks in a quarter. And I remember looking at it and I'm like, wow. I made, because I used to think 100 grand a year was crazy. And I'm like, wow, I did it in 90 freaking days. This is incredible. Holy cow. And then it was 100 grand in a month. And I was like, no freaking way. This is insane. And now we do $100,000, a week in fees. And I'm like, it's just crazy the momentum that builds over time. And it's like, guys, like I am so immensely proud of what we've created. And I also still know I'm not shit, right? I have so much more to go. Like one of my closest friends, is a billionaire and he makes all this stuff. He does about $100,000 a day. Between 50 grand and 100 grand a day in cash flow from his properties. Cash flow, like profit from his investments. His investments make him $50,000 to $100,000 a day. I'm like, that's insane. That's insane. And that's not like revenues from his companies. Like, no, that's his investments make him 50 grand to 100 grand a day. It's just like there's major levels to this game. Major levels. Just amazing. And I love being in the game and playing the game. It's just amazing. Thoughts on tenant rep? Tenant rep is one of those things where it's like in residential world, like, doing rentals, you're going to have to, you do it for a period of time. I think there's actually some decent money in tenant rep, but you just have to do some major volume. Like I have a client of mine who does $1 million a year. 70% of his business is tenant rep, but he wants to do more sales. And what's interesting, a lot of tenant rep people want to do more investment sales. So yeah, I think tenant rep can be really, really lucrative, but it's one of those things where like you want to do it and then eventually build up a business around it and then hire agents to manage it for you, where you pay them 25 or 50% of the fee to do the work. And you can have, $500,000 to $1 million a year, where you have 2 or 3 agents who are doing, who get paid an extra 100 or 200K or something like that, and you make $500,000 a year to not really do much. That's the plan. What's the fastest deal you've ever closed? I think it was like maybe 2 weeks or less, something like that. 10 days to 2 weeks. But if a buyer wants to offer $5 million and you turn around and offer the seller 4.5 just to make an extra amount, are you following full fiduciary? So here's the thing. I don't have a buyer representation agreement. So what's different is that I don't need to sign one, and you probably have to sign one. And if you do sign one, then I would say this. Then like if you're getting that signed, then just offer them $5 million. Whatever the buyer says, then offer them $5 million. I mean, if you are signing a fiduciary relationship, you have to abide by the contract, right? I'm a man who plays by the rules, right? Like I always play by the rules. So if I'm signing a buyer representation agreement and a buyer offers $5 million, I will offer $5 million. That's the game, and that's what you have to play. Then you're going to play that card, right? I don't sign that, so I don't have to play that card, right? So. That's it's definitely different for where you are. You probably just won't wholesale any deals, which is fine. You don't have to wholesale property to make money. You can make a 6% commission or 4% commission on $5 million and make 200 or 300 grand. How fond of motels are you? We sell, actually in the last 90 days, we've sold four motels and hotels. So yeah, big fan. How fun, and then I've got a seller on a motel, gross revenue is about $1 million. If interested, you can send the details. So just keep in mind that motels and hotels, it's very market dependent on how the multiples work, right? Because if you're going to sell a little baby motel, right, like we have deals where, the motel makes 500 grand gross top line, or 400 grand gross top line. I'm trying to think of the most recent deal we have. Like we literally have one that's closing in a week. That's a motel. It's like a 30-room motel in New Jersey. And we're gonna see how that goes. And but I mean it's maybe a 2.5 multiple, right? 2.5-ish multiple on revenues, right? But other areas might be a 3 multiple, other areas might be a 4x multiple. It just depends on where the market is, what kind of deal it is, right? Motels are tough. Motels are really tough. It's all market, very, hyper local market dependent. So look, guys, I think that, for those of you who are interested in getting started in the commercial real estate business, I would recommend working a night job to start if you don't have at least, 6 to 12 months worth of income saved up. I think that it's important to realize that you need to have a 10-year outlook on the business. I think it's important to realize that, you're going to get in this industry and you're going to be making calls. Like, you're going to cold call, you're going to make calls to your sphere of influence. You're going to do all the prospecting activities. Like, you're going to be, you're a licensed salesperson, and you need to become the top salesperson in your market in order to make good money. And if you're not willing to make the calls, if you're not not willing to work 10-hour days minimum, because it's not an 8-hour work day in the real estate business. It's a 12-hour day, and they're going to work all day every day for a couple of years straight, when the first year you might make nothing or not a lot. And then the next year you make a little bit more, and then next year you make a little bit more. And someone like myself within my 4th year, because I got in the business, quit the business, got back in the business, and it took me, overall about 4 years to make my first 100,000, call it, I think it was like first $1 million total, about 3 years to make my first $100,000 a month, 36 months. Like, it took me 30 months or so, 30 to 30, I mean, it was a while ago, it was like 7+ years ago. So I don't remember exactly, but I know that it took me from when I got back in the business, it took me 30 months to go from 0 to $100,000 a month. But that's because I followed the plan, and I worked endless hours, and I just don't think a lot of people are willing to do that. I want to be rich. Yeah. Amen. That's the right mentality to have. What is rich to you? What do you think rich is to you? Because rich is different for everybody. Can you explain the offer presentation method to a seller? You say you protect your fee, but don't they see the higher number from the buyer in the LOI? Let's say they want a net $4.5 million. So if they want a net $4.5 million, I'll pitch the deal out at $5 million. And if I get an offer, I don't sign a buyer representation agreement, but I get a buyer's willing to pay $5 million, and then I call up let's say I got an offer for 4.7 or 4.6. Okay, I get an offer for 4.6. I pitch it to the buyer at $5 million. The buyer's willing to pay 4.6. I'll go to the seller and say, hey, I have a buyer who wants to offer you a net of 4.3, and I'll negotiate the deal from there. And the more spread I can make, the more money I can make. And as long as the buyer's willing to pay what he's willing to pay, then that's that. I make the delta, I make the spread, right? So it's all, whenever you speak to a seller, you talk in terms of net dollar after compensation. Whenever you talk to a buyer, you talk in terms of total purchase price including compensation, so net dollar plus compensation. And you'll always, you shouldn't have an issue there. Thank you for your posts. Great information. You are so welcome. No problem. Well, the cigar is basically done. I'm going to hang out for a little bit, and we'll wrap up shortly. We've been going for 70 minutes. Nice. Okay, that's not too bad. What other questions do we have, everybody? So remember, the podcast here is going to come to you live every single Monday. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content today. We're going to come to you every Monday, 7:30 Eastern or thereabouts. We'll come to you live. We'll smoke cigars. We'll talk about business and real estate, and talk about how you can make more money in the industry. Obviously, you can come on here and talk and ask questions and whatever you need. Make sure that you share this content if you enjoyed it. Send it to a friend. That's all I can ask for is like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate it a lot. I'm going to be on here for a few more minutes before we wrap up. I watch a lot of your videos, and I hear talk a lot about a leaseback. Would you explain what that is? So a seller leaseback is essentially where a seller of a property occupies the building, okay? So that means the seller runs a business there, as an example, and the seller wants to stay and run the business, but they don't want to own the real estate anymore. So what they want to do is they want to have a cash injection. So let's say a guy currently operates a 5,000 square foot building. They're willing to sell it for $1 million, and you offer him $700,000 with as a sale leaseback. You offer him 700 grand with a $6,000 or $7,000 a month triple net leaseback. He goes, I won't do that. I need at least 900 grand, but I'm willing to do 6 grand a month, which is 72,000 a year. Then you say for 900 grand, you need to do 8,000 a month. 8,000 a month times 12 is $96,000 a year. So if you get him to sign to lease back the property for, let's say, 5 years with 3% increases a year, triple net, it's a very strong investment. My price per square foot might be a little bit high, but you get them basically to rent back the property to the next buyer, right? That's what a sale leaseback is. How do you portray that on an LOI when they see what the purchase price is? So you say, like, as an example, let's say a seller wants to net 4.5 million. What you do is you pitch the deal out at 5 million. You then, you get an offer for 4.6 million written, and then I will verbally present to the seller and say, hey, I have an offer that nets you, because you do 4.6 at 6% commission. 4.6 at 6% is 90 times 3 is 270. So you're making 270 grand. So it's basically a net to the seller of 4.33. So you go call him up and say, hey, Bob, I have an offer for you. I talked to my buyer. He wants to present, he has an offer of a net to you after my compensation of 4.33 million. And he goes, okay, I want 4.5. If you can get me 4.45 or 4.4, I'll do the deal. And then you go back to the buyer and say, hey, if you could do 4.7, the guy will agree. And then you get the buyer to pay 4.7, 6% commission. You can say, hey, I got an offer that nets you 4.4, and you try to make the delta, right? That's how I would structure the deal. And then when he sees the contract for 4.65 or 4.7 or 4.6 or whatever that is, you go like, yeah, the buyer's willing to pay the different, my compensation on top, right? So, that's why you talk to the seller verbally and say, hey, I have an offer that nets you X, right? So that's the way I present all of my offers. I have an offer that nets you X dollar after my compensation. Shot me an email of the podcast. See you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Yes, next week, 7:30 Eastern. Make sure you tune in. Have you ever considered looking at buying businesses? I've looked at businesses. I'm more of a fan of buying things like self-storage. I think self-storage is a great business. I am not a fan. Like, I'll buy a car. Car washes look good. Car washes are good businesses. Like, I know the real estate-esque version of the business. I don't want to go run a business. I have enough. I have 3 businesses that do very well. Each of them make over $1 million a year in top line revenue. And I am not interested in starting any other businesses. So if I acquire a car wash, I will partner with somebody who can manage the car wash. If I want to buy a self-storage facility like we've done, I partner with somebody who manages the self-storage facility for me. I will put up the cash, right? So if I'm buying a deal, like a self-storage deal we did, we bought it for 2.7, 2.8 million. I'll put up 100,000, 200, 300, 400, 500 grand, whatever my responsibility is in our partnership. And they'll put up the balance, or I'll raise the money, I'll raise the balance, and I'll let somebody else manage the business. I don't want to manage another business. I have enough going on right now where I just want to let my money work for me in those other instances, and I'll rather partner with somebody and take less equity in the business or in the property, so that I can be more profitable overall, right? Like, I want to put a better person than myself personally to run the thing. What's my biggest hurdle in commercial real estate right now? Finding great talent, right? Like, I'm looking for good talent to partner with me. I'm looking to, I want to hire great talent in the market, and I want to, I want to partner with amazing people and leaders in the industry. And that's my goal for the next, 20, 30, 40 years, is partner with great people and help them scale to 7 figures and beyond. So it's really like I mean, that I wouldn't say it's a hurdle per se. It's something that I am constantly working on every day. I was on CREsync and clicked on a few listings in New Jersey. Some of the brokers contacted me seeing if I had any interest. Do you market properties interest you at all? Do on-market properties interest me at all? Yeah, I always look at on-market properties. Every single night before I go to bed, the last 15 minutes before I put my phone down, I will look at all the properties that are newly listed. I'll take a look and I'll make offers on market properties. I don't have a problem with that at all. Sometimes you can find, I love finding residential agents who have listed commercial properties because most of the time they'll list it incorrectly. Hi, Henry. Love your content. Thank you so very much. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. My name's Titus, by the way. I appreciate your support. Of course. Anytime, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. Again, guys, so many things going on. Tuesday, January 27th, in the description down below, you can pre-register for my 10x Your Leads workshop. Make sure you pre-register. Everyone who pre-registers is going to get access to a Zoom room, a private Zoom room where we're going to do Q&A after the workshop. So make sure you tune in and register right away. We're going to have 100, 200, 300 people on that Zoom. So I'm excited about that. That's going to be January 27th. Also, if you're in Miami, January 27th at night, we're going to host our Miami meetup. So I'll have to see you there. February, we're going to host a New Jersey meetup. And also Expansion 2026 is going to be the premier commercial real estate event of the year. Make sure you guys grab your tickets today. Early bird pricing still going on. Make sure you grab your tickets. It's in the description down below. VIP tickets are going to get access to a private dinner with me and all the other VIPs. They're also going to get access to front row seats, as well as being able to have lunch with me at the event. So make sure you guys grab your tickets there. Also, they're going to have access to a private yacht party if you want to tune in on Sunday night. So that's going to be awesome as well. So make sure you grab your tickets, executive tickets. Make sure you grab them down below. What's a good way to present offers to sellers? I would say verbally. Present offers to sellers verbally first, always, so you can pre-negotiate. I have about 3 different land packages for sale in Arizona. They range from 6 to 20 acres, and the sellers wants 1.2 to 4.6 million for the packages. How do I handle this? You have to evaluate the deal, see if it's even a good deal. It might be super overpriced at those prices, you know? It's about finding good deals. So you have to evaluate the deals, look at the comparable properties, see what they're going for, and, you know, underwrite the deal and make sure these are good quality deals so you're not just wasting time. That's the best way. You got to make sure you underwrite the deals. Do you have any cases in which the buyer and seller are mad about the spread? If so, how do you handle these conversations? I've never really had people be mad about it. I've had sellers who go, I don't want to pay 6%, and then I end up making 5.5% or 5%. But I don't really have people who are mad ever, because the seller just wants to net what they want to net. You know, like that's how I am. My own property. If you call me up and say, hey, would you sell your property? And I say, yeah, I want X price, and you bring me X price plus $100,000 to pay you 6%, I have no problem. Working on a hotel deal, seller wants 2.1 to 2.2 million. I got an offer around 1.9 to 2 million. It's pretty good. Presented the offer to the seller, and the seller said he denied an offer at 2.15 million. I didn't know what to say. What would you do? Yeah, I would say, why did you decline the deal? What about the deal did you not like? Because it sounds like to me that was, it sounds like to me a pretty interesting deal. They're like, oh, well, I didn't like it because they wanted seller financing, or I didn't like the deal because they wanted a 6-month closing, right? Or they had contingencies I didn't like, right? Like, so sometimes it's not just the price, sometimes it's terms, right? So you got to clarify that. I have no money, okay? I just run my mouth on commercial real estate analytics, okay? Okay. I appreciate you tuning in. If I could support you in any way so you don't have no money anymore, let me know. You said hi. Hello. Yes, thank you for waving. Thank you, Henry. You're so welcome. Best of luck with that. With no specific asset class in mind when it comes to a cash offer versus a seller financing deal, what helped you distinguish which option is better? It depends on the seller. Every seller is different. You have some sellers who love, who don't want to pay crazy capital gains, so seller financing can be very lucrative. And then you have some sellers who, prefer to just get out of the deal and they want a straight up deal. Like there's going to be sellers who want to do seller financing because they don't want to pay major taxes. And then you're going to have some sellers who don't want to do seller financing at all and just want a clean deal. On my deals, I don't want to do seller financing. I'm not interested in seller financing. Pay me my price or I don't want to sell it at all. However, we've done many seller financing deals and, for certain sellers, they're lucrative. Like as an example, if a seller is like, hey, like they're 60 years old and they just want to get paid $10,000 a month for the next 10 or 20 years of their life, it could be very lucrative. Instead of paying a bunch of taxes up front, they could just get paid 10 grand a month forever, or for a very long period of time. Who doesn't hate that? In your opinion, are vacant properties a wasted time when sourcing for potential deals? No, but vacant deals can be very lucrative. I mean, I would buy a vacant deal, but it has to make sense, right? It has to make sense as to why it's vacant, and can it be updated, and can it be rented, and is there a spread between what I'm buying it at, and like a very strong spread, because there's risk in buying a vacant deal, right? There's major risk. I have a lot of expenses to pay even though the building's vacant. So keep in mind that I would buy a vacant property, that's not a problem. But the property has to make a lot of sense. Like I would buy a vacant 20,000 square foot warehouse or a 20,000 square foot retail property or whatever, as long as my price per square foot is low enough where I know that it's worth taking the risk, where once I fix it up and rent it, I can sell it for substantially more money. Right? Like that's the important part. What are some things I can do to network in my area to get into the industry and build relationships? And you're in Phoenix, Arizona. Go to investor meetups. Go to go meet with other professionals in the industry. Not in the commercial real estate agent world, but go meet commercial real estate lenders, go meet commercial real estate attorneys, go meet commercial real estate insurance brokers, go meet commercial real estate roofers, and go meet commercial real estate developers, go meet the people in your market and outside of your specific position. So if you're a commercial real estate agent, you should not go meet other commercial real estate agents. That does not make sense. Go meet other people in the industry, in parallel industries where you can do business together. That can be very, very, very lucrative. Where are we at time-wise? Okay, guys, we're going to go for another 8 minutes or so. We're going to go to 90 minutes total on the session. So we got 8 more minutes. What other questions do you have? Again, the commercial real estate and CRE and Cigars podcast. I'm going to do this every Monday that I can, 7:30 Eastern. So make sure you tune in every Monday. Next Monday, 7:30 Eastern, same exact place. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Share it with a friend. Bring a friend to the podcast next week. I would appreciate that a lot. Make sure also, if you have real estate deals, you want to do deals together, email me at info@henryeisenstein.com. If you're a commercial real estate agent and you want to explode your business, in the description down below, you can book a call for for our consulting company. I'd love to be able to support you in growing your business. We have lots of options for you to scale your business, whether that's working with us on the consulting side, joining us at our free events, joining us at our meetups, joining us at Expansion 2026 live event. Lots of stuff that you can be able to do. I post content all the time, so we can support you in a lot of different ways. Hi Henry, I have a commercial real estate deal that fell into my lap. It's appraised at $1.7 million and I have it under contract for $900,000. Okay, nice. I want to sell it to an end buyer for $1.2 million, $300K. Best of luck, man. Send me an email at info@henryeisenstein.com. I'll take a look at the deal and see what I can do to support you. Best of luck, man. But this is what it's all about. Commercial real estate wholesaling. You can make 6-figure spreads. Awesome opportunities. I've heard you say on some cold calls that you can put tenants in place where there are vacancies. What does that process look like? Yeah, you can literally put a property on LoopNet, Facebook Marketplace, all these different online platforms, and you can get, fill vacancies very easily. My family has owned retail properties in New Jersey for 50 plus years. So there's, I've been renting our properties for a very long time. So if you have tenants that are looking for space in Red Bank, New Jersey, hit me up. Love to be able to house your tenants. Hit me up. We have some vacancy right now. Actually, we're looking to fill now. What are your thoughts on LinkedIn? I think it's great. We post on LinkedIn all the time. Check me out. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Great place for you to connect with people. Thanks for the information and the advice. Appreciate it. I'm a residential agent, but I would like to get into commercial real estate eventually. This is very helpful. You are so welcome. Anything I can do, I'm always here for you, man. Lots of resources in the description, so make sure you check that out. Hi, Henry. Can you do a video on underwriting a 50 to 70 key franchised hotel? Yeah, the big thing for hotels, what's interesting with hotels is like you want to be able to see is like, are they? You can look at the competition. How are they priced on a nightly basis versus the competition in the local market? What is the local market selling for on a multiples basis, on a cap rate basis? Is there a way to increase the value of the asset through increasing the pricing on a nightly basis, increasing occupancy, increasing the quality of the hotel, enhancing the management, decreasing the expenses, like how are they running the business? Is there, ballrooms or event space that they can rent out? Is there vacancy in regards to a retail space that you could rent out to a restaurant or a coffee shop or whatever? So, but yeah, I mean, you got to check out, meet with other hotel operators and see what they're looking for. It can be very lucrative. Are there any legalities to be concerned with when cold calling property owners if I'm not licensed? No. Just don't say that you're a real estate agent. That's it. You can call property owners because investors do it all the time. You can call up any property you want. You don't have to be licensed. And you can just say, hey, I'm an investor in the area and I'm looking to buy property and I was just curious if you'd be open to the idea of selling your building. That's it. I truly appreciate the feedback. I have one more question. Would it matter if it's a convenience store with a gas station or is it just the principle of commercial real estate? I'm trying to understand the question. Would it matter if it's a convenience store with gas station or is it just the principle of commercial real estate? No, I mean, you can do that with any property. You can do that with any property. You can wholesale any type of commercial, any property. It doesn't matter if it's residential or any type of commercial. So yeah, I mean, it does not matter. Send me an email, info@henryeisenstein.com. I can review it and look more into it. So would the tenants be put in place? So would the tenants be put in place and pay the current owner, or would they be moving once the deal is finalized? So it depends. You can negotiate it any which way you want. So, we've structured deals where we would buy a property contingent upon lease up. So like we would, we offer them a deal and say, hey, we would buy the property as long as there's tenants in place, or like we would buy the property once it's 100% occupied. You can make it a contingency that you can get it rented before closing. So like that's all totally fine. We got one more minute left, guys. I appreciate you so very much for tuning in today. Cigars and CRE and Cigars is coming to you every Monday, 7:30 Eastern. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Tune in live each and every single Monday night. Make sure you check out the description down below to grab your tickets to the virtual free workshop to 10x your leads, Expansion 2026. And again, we have our live, our Miami meetup on January 27th here in Miami. So if you want to smoke a cigar with me, tune in, hang out. Let's do it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next Monday. Peace out, everybody. Take care. See ya.